Good afternoon, I'm Sharon Thomas. Supermarkets are being urged to bring down the cost of some kitchen cupboard essentials as households battle rampant food inflation. It's understood any price caps would be voluntary, but the government says it's talking to retailers to keep the costs of everyday and basic products as low as possible. More now from our political correspondent, Tom Sheldrick.
Soaring food prices now appear to be the front line of the cost of living crisis. The government is asking retailers to try to cut the cost of basics like bread and milk.
We've announced considerable support with cost of living, but we want to work constructively with supermarkets in a voluntary way as to how we can work together to address the increase in cost that we've seen, particularly around food prices.
In the year to April, food prices rose by 19.1%, with dairy products the worst affected. Milk went up 33%, cheddar cheese 39%, and eggs 37%, with shoppers feeling the effects.
Yeah, massive change, and everything's increased. You get less product for the extra price.
We buy less than before. For example, we buy less quantity than before, so we try to use weekly basis.
Yeah, well, I think it is a good idea to put a cap on the essentials, actually, like eggs, milk, butter, bread. I think it would help.
But the group representing retailers says it won't bring down prices, which have been pushed up by factors including the war in Ukraine.
Everybody from the farmer to the manufacturer to the retailer has cut their margins. And in fact, the government today has said how low retail margins are. They're the lowest across Europe, near enough, and we cannot go any lower. So everybody has done everything they can to cut prices, and that's what makes this pledge so meaningless.
It's not clear yet if the government could offer supermarkets incentives to cut prices, but it does seem ministers are willing to intervene to try to help shoppers afford the essentials. Tom Sheldrick, ITV News.
The Health Secretary, Steve Barclay, has insisted a new pay offer for nurses will not be made. The Royal College of Nursing has so far rejected an offer of a 5% pay rise and is looking at whether to hold further strikes in the coming months. Today, Mr Barclay acknowledged what he called a very constructive meeting with the union's chief executive, Pat Cullen, but he's insisted the government's offer had been fair and final.
What Pat said at the time that the deal went to members was exactly the same as what I said and what the rest of the NHS Staff Council said, which was as a fair and final settlement. There's various things within the deal, and we've agreed a package of work with the NHS Staff Council to take those forward. But this is something that the Staff Council as a whole voted on.
2 men in their 20s have died after they were pulled from the sea off Torbay in South Devon yesterday. Police confirmed that one man died at the scene. The other died after being taken to hospital. Separately, a teenager who died after getting into difficulty in the River Eden near Carlisle on Friday has been named. 15-year-old Lewis Michael Kirkpatrick's body was found yesterday lunchtime. And a 5-year-old girl who died in a house fire near Crymych in Pembrokeshire last night has been named. Alicia Salisbury died at the scene. ITV has denied reports that its flagship daytime programme This Morning could be axed. There have been mounting questions over the future of the show after its star presenter, Philip Schofield, quit the broadcaster entirely on Friday. He admitted to an affair with a much younger male colleague and that he lied to his employers. Layla Hayes joins me now in the studio to talk about this. Layla, hugely significant, this speculation about ITV's flagship programme, isn't it?
Yeah, just a few weeks ago, any suggestion that ITV's flagship programme could be axed would have been unthinkable. But following the revelations of the last few days, there has indeed been speculation that This Morning could be taken off air, and it has forced ITV to comment once again. Today, they have released a statement. In it, they said, as we said on the record yesterday, This Morning is not under review and there's no plans for the show to be axed. This Morning will return as normal tomorrow. Well, on Friday, Philip Schofield quit the broadcaster after admitting an affair with a younger male colleague, a relationship he described as unwise but not illegal. It is now very clear that this has created a rift between himself and his former co-presenter, Holly Willoughby. Yesterday, she released a statement. In it, she said, When reports of this relationship first surfaced, I asked Phil directly if this was true and was told it was not. It's been very hurtful to now find out that this was a lie. So clear tensions between the pair. This Morning will be back tomorrow, but not with Holly Willoughby. She will be back on the 5th of June.
OK, Leila, many thanks. Thank you. At least one person has died after a drone attack in Ukraine overnight. Russia carried out the assault on the capital, Kyiv, in which a woman was also injured. The country has recently stepped up its attacks on the city to try and overwhelm its defences. The US President Joe Biden and his Republican opponents have agreed in principle to raise the country's debt ceiling. The deal comes after weeks of bitter negotiations to try and avert a default on American debts. It still needs to be approved by a divided Congress. Voters have returned to the polls in Turkey for the country's presidential runoff. The incumbent, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, is favourite. He cast his ballot earlier this morning and is looking to extend his rule into a third decade. But looking to unseat him, opposition candidate Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, who has called on voters to reject the country's increasingly authoritarian leader. Finally, the Premier League season is set to conclude this afternoon as the final round of games gets underway. Man City may have already wrapped up the title, but it's all to play for at the bottom of the table, with 3 teams hoping to avoid the final 2 relegation spots. Leeds and Leicester both may face must-win games, whilst also hoping Everton don't win their match against Bournemouth. That's it from us this afternoon. Goodbye.